Picture this. The year is 2024 and Donald J. Trump, the former president of the United States, announces an unexpected and controversial comeback campaign. A twist of fate many did not see coming, a narrative that sent shockwaves through the political landscape. This wasn't just a campaign, it was a promise of a new era for America. As Trump stepped back into the political arena, he brought with him a charisma and unapologetic style that was as polarizing as it was captivating. His supporters, who had remained steadfast during his absence from the Oval Office, were reignited. They saw in him the same fervor, the same tenacity that had once led him to the presidency. Trump's rallies were a sight to behold, massive crowds, chants echoing through the air, and signs hoisted high, all painting a vivid picture of a dedicated and impassioned supporter base. His slogan, a clever play on his original catchphrase, "Make America Great Again," resonated with those who yearned for a return to what they saw as better days. His detractors, however, saw a different picture. They braced themselves for a campaign trail filled with heated debates and polarizing rhetoric, reminiscent of his first run for the presidency. As Trump's comeback campaign gained momentum, the nation found itself once more in the throes of a political whirlwind. And as the election season heated up, the nation watched with bated breath. The campaign trail was filled with fiery debates and polarizing rhetoric. The nation was at a crossroads, with voters facing a stark choice between two very different visions for America's future. On one side, Donald J. Trump, promising to make America great again, stirred the political landscape with his charismatic and unapologetic style. On the other, his opponents, who believed that his leadership style had exacerbated divisions within the nation during his first term. The key points of contention during the election campaign were numerous. Policy differences ranged from immigration to healthcare, and from climate change to economic strategies. Trump's supporters applauded his focus on deregulation and tax cuts, seeing them as drivers for economic growth and job creation. His detractors, however, argued that these measures disproportionately benefited the wealthy while failing to address income inequality. As for leadership styles, Trump's bravado and direct communication resonated with many who saw him as a breath of fresh air in the often circumspect world of politics. Yet, others viewed his approach as divisive, suggesting it contributed to a widening gulf between different sections of American society. As election night arrived, the tension was palpable. Both camps watched anxiously as the votes were counted, a process that seemed to stretch on forever. The race was incredibly close, with the lead changing hands multiple times as the results from different states came in. In the end, it was a victory for Trump. Despite the heated debates, the polarizing rhetoric, and the starkly contrasting visions for America's future, Trump's promise of a new era resonated with enough voters to secure him a second term. In a closely fought race, Trump secured victory once more, winning the Electoral College by a narrow margin. Trump's return to the White House brought a mix of reactions. As the news of Trump's re-election spread, there was a palpable divide across the nation. His supporters erupted in celebrations, viewing his victory as a confirmation of their vision for America. They anticipated a continuation of Trump's first-term policies, from rolling back regulations to pushing for a stronger stance on immigration. On the other side, his detractors expressed dismay and concern. They feared a further deepening of the divisions that had marked his first term. There were worries about an acceleration of policies they believed detrimental to the environment, healthcare, and immigration. The socio-political climate of the country was tense. Trump's unapologetic, charismatic style had rekindled the fervor of his supporters. His rallies once again drew massive crowds, and his slogan, "Make America Great Again," echoed across the nation. However, his leadership style and policies had also exacerbated divisions within the country. There was a clear dichotomy between those who saw his re-election as a triumph and those who saw it as a step backward. The reactions to Trump's victory were not confined to the United States. Around the world, allies and adversaries alike watched with bated breath as the political landscape of the world's most influential nation took another unexpected turn. The international community braced itself for an America-first foreign policy and the potential frictions it could cause. As Trump settled back into the Oval Office, the expectations were high. His supporters were hopeful for a revival of what they saw as America's former glory, while his detractors were preparing for resistance. The media landscape, already marked by partisan divides, was poised for further polarization. The country remained deeply divided, marking the beginning of a challenging second term. Trump's return to the White House was not a simple homecoming. It was a reminder of the deep chasms that divided the nation, a testament to the polarizing figure that Trump had become. It was a prelude to a second term that promised to be as controversial and unpredictable as his first. On the international front, Trump pursued an America First foreign policy. This policy was a central tenet of his administration, dictating the course of American diplomacy and global engagement. It was a stance that sought to prioritize American interests above all else, a departure from the collaborative approach of previous administrations. Under Trump's leadership, the United States redefined its relationships with long-standing allies and geopolitical adversaries alike. This recalibration led to frictions, as traditional alliances were tested and complex negotiations with rival nations took center stage. The international stage became a chessboard, with every move scrutinized and every decision carrying far-reaching implications. Trade wars escalated, as Trump sought to renegotiate trade agreements in favor of American businesses. Tariffs were imposed, sparking retaliatory actions from affected countries. The global economic landscape was in flux, with market uncertainties and shifting trade dynamics becoming the norm. On the home front, Trump's administration implemented a series of economic measures, including significant tax cuts and deregulation efforts. These policies were a nod to the business community and conservative base, who viewed them as essential for stimulating economic growth and job creation. These measures were hailed by many as a boost to the American economy. Supporters pointed to stock market gains and lowered corporate tax rates as indicators of success. They argued that these policies were instrumental in fostering a favorable business environment and promoting investment. However, the administration's economic policies were not without their critics. Detractors argued that the tax cuts and deregulation efforts disproportionately benefited the wealthy and large corporations. They pointed to growing income disparities and the widening wealth gap as evidence of the policy's flaws. The debate over the impact of these policies underscored the deep divisions within the country. While economic growth and job creation were hailed, critics pointed to a widening wealth gap. The question remained, were these policies truly benefiting all Americans, or were they exacerbating economic inequalities? This was the dichotomy that defined Trump's second term, a period of robust economic activity juxtaposed with growing concerns over wealth distribution. Throughout his second term, Trump continued to use social media as a direct communication channel with the American people. His unfiltered tweets and statements, often delivered in the early hours of the morning, bypassed traditional news outlets and sparked instant debate. Trump's social media presence was a double-edged sword, drawing both fervent support and vehement criticism. His tweets could shift the national conversation in an instant, driving headlines and setting the day's political agenda. However, they also sparked controversy, with critics accusing him of misinformation and incendiary rhetoric. Social media platforms were thrust into an unenviable position, grappling with how to handle the often contentious posts from the president. They walked a tightrope, trying to balance the principles of free speech with the need to prevent the spread of misinformation and hate speech. In this digital age, Trump's use of social media underscored its power in shaping political discourse. It gave him an unprecedented platform to speak directly to the public, bypassing traditional gatekeepers in the media. Yet it also amplified the nation's divisions, with each tweet sparking a flurry of reactions from both sides of the political spectrum. Public discourse remained intense, reflecting a deeply polarized nation. As Donald J. Trump's second term came to a close, the nation was left with a complex legacy. This was a time marked by fervent support and fierce opposition, embodying the stark divide in American politics. To his ardent supporters, Trump was a figure of change, a leader who delivered on his promises. They celebrated his economic policies, his immigration stance, and his unapologetic approach to leadership. Yet his detractors painted a different picture. They pointed to a deepening divide within the country, heightened political tensions, and policies they argued favored the wealthy. Critics contended that under Trump's administration, the nation faced challenges on fronts ranging from international relations to climate change. The legacy of Trump's second term, like the man himself, was anything but simple. It was a period of triumph for some, and tumult for others. It was a time that tested the resilience of American democracy and the strength of its institutions. Whether seen as a triumph or a tumultuous era, Trump's second term was undeniably a significant chapter in American history.